All right, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a very special video with my client Juan, who just went from 10K a month with his coaching business to hitting a record 52K a month this past month. And so today we're going to be picking apart his transformation, his success, kind of what changed, what were kind of the levers that he pulled to get from 10K a month to 50K a month, and what were some of the biggest lessons that he learned and all that kind of stuff too. So I'm really excited for this one. It's been a long time coming. And Juan, I just want to say thank you for hopping on here, man. Being such a pleasure to work with and just a very valuable member of the community as well. So yeah, that said, welcome to the channel, Juan. Do you mind kind of giving us a quick little background on kind of who you are, what you do, and then what were you able to do going through the program?
Yeah, so first, my pleasure to be here. It's really great to act as a case study for you. Like, really, it's an honor for me because, like, the key thing behind, I think, my success is that I just try to play with your standards, like by your rules.
Mhm.
I asked you sometime that what should I be doing if I wanted to get the most results? I asked you some time ago, and you just told me, like, when I am in a coaching program, you told me I just do everything the coach tells me to do. And after that day, I decided to do exactly that. So basically, just to answer your question, my background is I'm a learning coach. I help people pass an exam. I'm working with medical doctors who are general practitioners and want to become specialists like cardiologists or neurosurgeons or stuff like that. I'm located in Latin America, in Colombia, and I sell mainly to Colombia, Peru, some people in Mexico, but mainly Colombia, Peru, and some more countries we've been testing. And yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, very powerful with a couple of points I want to unpack here too, but very powerful with what you said about just kind of getting out of your own way and just like doing what just following the process, following the program and stuff like that too. And whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot that I got a lot of questions for you today, and I'm really excited to dive deep here. And we got a lot to unpack because it hasn't been always smooth sailing, right? So there was a part where we are kind of plateaued a little bit. So I want to kind of dig into that, how we were able to kind of blow past that. And then also like before we do though, I want to dive into kind of like your market because you have a very unique niche where you work with doctors in Latin America, and most of them probably are pretty like they've gone through like they have a lot of like tuition to pay for, and like they're probably not really making too much money, and they might not be like might not have incredible like mindsets as well. And so I'd love for you to kind of talk about that a little bit as well with kind of like the pricing, because I know we played around with the pricing a little bit of the offer, and kind of pairing that, like how do you match your price to your market?
Yeah. So well thought question. But basically to give some context around the specifics of my market. In my market, I have like regular competitors, which are people that teach those doctors medical information, which is the information or the knowledge they'll be tested for. And kind of my edge is, yeah, you have all this information, but you don't know how to learn it properly, how to use it to increase your exam scores, how to use it to achieve what you want, which is actually pass that exam. So I think that I'm I'm in a good spot for two reasons. And the first reason is people are kind of used to pay on that specific context. And also the competitors I currently have, do something really different from what I do. So those two things are key.
Mm.
The mindset thing, that it's something that we've been struggling with it a lot, or we've dealt with more than struggling. And basically something I have good too is that these people have been kind of traumatized with this exam for his whole career, like 6 years, 7 years, hearing that that exam is too tough, too hard to pass and stuff. And it's kind of, from a client success perspective, it's really tough to untrain those patterns that have been going on for so long, right? But in the marketing side of things, it helps. And it also helps that people haven't learned how to learn before.
Mm.
So that's something that I use a lot on my marketing. And yeah, I don't know if I actually answered the question, but it's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, that's good, man, because like the biggest takeaway from that is like you're solving a very painful problem because I know a lot of your clients have already like tried to take the test and they failed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of catching somebody there, whereas a lot of people, when they go to start an offer or a scale one, they try to solve like a nice to have instead of like a need to have. And so there's a lot of pain associated with your offer. So that's a really good place to start for somebody watching this video right now. Make sure that you're actually solving a very painful problem. That's like number one, right? And yeah, that was an interesting point you made about like the client success perspective too, because if they have been wired a certain way to believe that this thing's difficult, then there's probably going to be a lot of like self-doubt there too about like, oh, can this even work? Even if I do this program, is it actually possible for me to pass this test? Right. And so there's a lot of things you can do kind of in your marketing and then also throughout the program to kind of pick away at that belief and kind of just destroy that as well. But yeah, I kind of want to rewind a little bit here as well. So back when we started working together, what was the business like? Where were you at? Kind of like how much were you making? What kind of problems were you facing back then? And like what made you want to work with me in the first place?
Yeah. So back then, which was on maybe November, starting November of last year, I was making 10K per month. And I was noticing I have had some trouble mainly on the back end at first. Like the delivery wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Hmm.
And I think that also helped me. It also helped me that I decided to do it proactively rather than reactively. I didn't wait until the backend broke to get help, but to get help before the backend broke. So I I noticed like I think the biggest reason why I decided to work with you was because of your standards. I think it's like when you have a mentor that acts in a certain way consistently, you just want to be around that kind of people. And that's something else that I have noticed has impacted me a lot being within your community. Like these people are a bunch of killers. Everyone, like you're also really picky on who you let in the program. And it's not to create that scarcity stuff and influence stuff from Cialdini. It's just because you really want to create an environment for us to win. Like if you have a football squad, you don't want to get people that are not as good as the killers. And that's mainly the thing I think that has helped me the most. And also I remember when we started working together, I was taking all of my sales calls, which, like, for me, I had to be taking 8 to 10 sales calls per day, because to get to these numbers, since I'm in Latin America, I have to charge a lot less. So that was a bottleneck for sure. I was becoming the bottleneck in my business. I didn't know how to manage people. I didn't know how to handle a team. I was also really emotional about it. And I expected things that weren't maybe aligned with the reality. So there was a lot to improve, and I think I was able to be able to do it. Of course, I need to keep improving, because something that you also emphasize within the program is you're never ready. Like, you can keep improving. And yeah, that's my focus almost every day.
That's awesome, man. There's a few things I kind of want to pick apart there as well. First one, very quickly, how much is your offer?
Yeah, it's 1,200 paid in full and 1,500
That's awesome, because
installments.
I know there's going to be people watching that are having a hard time increasing their prices, and they think a lot of people hold a belief that they have to be charging 5 to 10K in order to get to 50K a month and above. But you're a perfect example of somebody who charges 1,200 and has gotten there already. So there's kind of, it's an interesting dynamic, because we kind of have to play the cards that we're dealt, and kind of like play the rules of the game that way, and then really focus on systemizing and building a team in order to make that happen. And you've done a really good job of that, because you have, like, well, actually, obviously, I know you have like setter, closer, stuff like that, but do you mind telling us a little bit about who's on your team? Like, who have you hired and why? And how's that been going?
Great. So when we started working together, you recommended me to read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time book. And the key principle behind that book is you need to hire people to buy back your time. And what I do is basically hire people to buy back my time. For instance, my first when we started working together, I already had a setter,
Mhm.
but that was the only person I had. And my second hire was a client success manager, which is in charge of helping students get results, review their work, host group calls, one-on-one calls, and stuff. So that's my second team member. My third team member is my closer. And my fourth team member is my VA, and also an editor that I already had. But full-time kind of thing,
Mhm.
those four.
That's awesome. What's been a very powerful lesson for you when it comes to leadership?
We were having a conversation with Eduardo, your CSM, on a group call, and I actually asked him some kind of similar question, and he and the guys within your program recommended me to read 21 or 23. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell.
Yeah.
And I read it because I made a commitment to myself that I was going to do whatever these people were telling me to do. And the biggest takeaway from that was, before trying to lead someone else, you need to lead yourself perfectly. And that I think that I created kind of a karmic framework around it, in which if I weren't doing what I needed to do, what I know that I had to do, I were not going to complain or something else because a team member didn't do it. And after I did that, I started to take into account more stuff that can happen to your team. And also, I think that the key was something that I also asked you on a group call, which was, how can you like help the team make the best possible work? Because it's true that you will not hit the revenue number you want to hit by yourself. Like, it's almost impossible. I know that in different markets, different offers, price points change a bit and stuff, but at some point you'll have to hire anyways. And that time you told me that you needed to ask your people what did they need from you to get their best job done. And I had that conversation with every team member. And since that point, I decided that my number one role as a CEO was basically to solve their problems in order for them to perform at their peak.
Wow. That's powerful, man. I see a lot of people kind of get stuck in that transition from doing everything themselves to becoming a true leader and CEO. And that's one of the lessons I've learned in the last year or so as well, is just the power of how important it is to kind of step back, empower people, and most importantly, like what you said, check in with them to see, like I ask my team all the time as well. It's like, what can I do to make your job and your life easier and better? And then they'll tell us, well, you know what? I'm actually kind of going through this right now. I don't really know how to fix it or what to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's my responsibility. Or like, let's say my sales guy is like, hey man, like we need some more calls in the calendar. I'm like, got it. Okay. That is my responsibility to solve that problem for him so that he can do his job and achieve his vision under my umbrella as well. Right. And I think you've done a really good job of this as well with your team, because everybody on your team has a very high amount of buy-in and commitment to you as well. And I saw that you posted a win recently as well about one of your team members getting a couple offers to go work somewhere else that were like paying them probably more than twice as much as they're making with you right now, but they decided to stay with you. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, this person is my setter, and the guy is a killer. The guy is extraordinary. Like, really, the way he performs is amazing, as well as the rest of my team. I also think that one key behind hitting this monetary goal is that my team is amazing. Like, by myself, I couldn't physically do it, like, really. But for him, I the first time he told me he got an offer, he already told me that like he didn't tell me to see if we were going to make an arrangement. He told me he already said no to that. And the reason why he did it is because he told me, I really enjoy working with you. I don't feel as if I'm working. And also, I try to embody more of a coach role with my team members instead of a boss role.
Yeah.
I give people free access to my calendar to see if we can chat. And I tend to ask simple questions like, how do you feel? Things, little things as powerful as that kind of stuff really helps them feel understood and really just perform the best way possible. Some time ago, I also had kind of we were training with my sales guy, and we were trying to shift some beliefs that he had. And by doing that, we entered on a really personal conversation. And on that moment, I understood that everything is interconnected. It's not that this person is not performing as well because he's not skilled at whatever the role he has or she has. It's because there is something else happening that you have to be able to take care of, or at least be aware of, to be able to help them, again, serve them, to help them get where they want to get. It's kind of watching you also told me that once, watching your team members not as people you just tell things to do, but as clients, inside clients, is really key.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. Just kind of expand on that a little bit. Like, by treating your team members like clients, then it puts you in that position to serve them as you would serve a client, rather than to boss them around, order them to do things, and then get mad at them when they don't do it right, which a lot of people do. And it's no surprise that they have very high churn on their teams as well, and low results and productivity. So that's really good, man. One thing that's really interesting right now too is like, notice how we're talking a lot about like building systems and processes and teams to buy back your time to get yourself out of the trenches, and not so much like tactics. Because I think a lot of people that watch these videos are like looking for like that one little golden nugget that's just going to change everything for them. But what I'm noticing here, the trend, and this holds true for every other successful client too, is like, it's not one silver bullet, it's like a million golden BBs. And that's what Alex Hormozy loves to say, but it's so true, right? It's not one tiny little thing. It's like a combination of a million different things over the last 6 months that has led to this growth and this consistency as well. And I think that that's really important for a lot of people to understand too, because a lot of people have this kind of unrealistic expectation that they're just like, it's just like one little thing they need. And then they kind of lie to themselves and they trick themselves into believing that like they don't actually need to, like, they just need that one little thing and then they'll be good. But as you said earlier, it's like, it's a never ending process. And like, once you cracked ads, like it's like, okay, on to the next problem. Now we got to step into the role of a leader in a team, like leading a team, building actual systems and stuff like that too, right? And so it's like this never-ending journey of growth as well. But to kind of pivot a little bit, I want to double down on what you mentioned earlier about, in order to lead others, you must first lead yourself perfectly. And I know you and Eduardo have been working very closely together as well to dial in yourself as a leader. So that way you can reflect your own leadership onto your clients, your team members, your audience as well, and see the results that you've gotten. So I know one thing that you've really dialed in. And Eduardo's been a massive key to this as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like insane. Um, is like your sleep consistency, your sleep discipline, right? Your own performance, like for your own body, your own mindset and everything like that too. So a lot of people are like, oh, what kind of ads can I run to get to 50K a month? But like it's so much more than that because as you know, it's like it's the internal work and the growth that leads to the external result. So I'd love to kind of hear your perspective on that. Like what's that kind of been like? First off, why did you decide to look internally and to like kind of fix all that other stuff? And then what have you done and what's been the result of that on the business and yourself?
Okay. Well, I think everything started back on a session we had with Alex and yourself, talking about understanding which was the right problem to solve and the right solution. I think I was stuck at a certain point because I tried to solve too hard the wrong problems. And the reason why I went from 23K per month last month to 52K this month was because I decided to solve the right problem. And for me, the right problem wasn't knowledge anymore because I already had everything within your program. It was my emotional states, my reactivity, those things that maybe from a coach perspective can be like figured out easily unless you actually take the time and care for your clients, which is actually what you guys do best within the program. It's like Eduardo and yourself really care about us, and Alex again too. So it's like that thing sets this program apart from every other program, I think. Also, mm, that was the first thing, the emotional reactivity stuff. And second, we had a 30-day challenge on sleeping, which was the sleep hard challenge, in which basically we had to comply with sleep time and wake up time, the same one through the whole challenge. We had some like night passes, 4 night passes, free of guilt. I actually, honestly, failed the challenge in the sense that I did 6 instead of just 4. But other than that, the challenge for me was life changing because I already knew because of all the scientific evidence and stuff that I needed to sleep better, blah. But sometimes we tend to get used to things sucking, you know? Like you feel not as energized or as clear while thinking, and then you just get used to it. And for instance, same thing with earning money. Like we have been like 10K per month for 5 months. It's normal for the brain to keep doing the same stuff to get the same results, but reality is unless you change, nothing is going to change. So I dialed that thing in too, the sleep thing, and the results I was able to deliver to my team, to my clients, also improved, and to myself. Also, I mean, like I've been noticing that whenever you get to a certain level, you already know what you need to do. but you are just not doing it. And it's just that you want to stack everything in your favor to be able to do the stuff, and dialing in performance, sleep, nutrition, everything is really important.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people are kind of stuck in like the grind mode of just like trying to just grind through it all, and they disregard that. But that's such a powerful thing because, like you said, it all starts with like in order for your mind to make the right decisions, and your success is based on the quality of the decisions that you make, your mind has to be in a state where it's rested, where it's healthy, and where it's capable of making those good decisions. Otherwise, it won't be able to. So I'm really, really happy to hear that you and Eduardo were able to really go deep there and actually solve that, because it's not easy to change those kind of sleep patterns, and also just everything else that is in alignment with that. And most people won't, and most people don't. That's why most people don't get the results that you have, right? Like just in the last 30 days, you've doubled your business as a result of that, right? And it's no surprise there. So yeah, I think another thing that really stands out as well, based on what we've been talking about too, is like kind of just the community side of things, right? So you mentioned that like surrounding yourself with other people who are killers is extremely important. And you've been an incredible contribution to the community. You show up to all the calls, you come to us with really good questions that are well thought out, and you check all the boxes for an incredible client to work with as well. So I just want to say that thank you. And then you actually do what we tell you to do, and you report back with like with the data and the results. Um, but aside from that, like you've shown to all the calls, you ask really good questions, and you contribute to the community. And also not to mention you send referrals as well. And then those people get awesome results too. But nonetheless, man, like, yeah, I'd be curious to kind of hear what what kind of makes this community different than other ones that you've been in the past.
Yeah. Before I answer that, I want to say this James Clear quote that actually is one of my mantras, which is join a group where the desired behavior is the normal behavior. I said something around those lines too while I was posting a win
Mm,
these days. The normal behavior within this community is winning, basically, is knowing that a person hitting record months is not a weird thing. It's not something extraordinary. It's something ordinary. Like we've been watching, or I've been watching on your community people posting more than 100K months and stuff. And for me, especially like coming from a maybe insecurity background on my potential, understanding that if one person following the exact things I'm going to be following get those results, then there is no reason why I shouldn't believe I won't be able to make it too. And these people is an inspiration for me every day. Like it's just, I mean, when you see people posting those huge wins, you just understand you need to get better. And I like to compete, you know, not in a bad way, but to get better.
yeah.
I when I was a child and a teenager, I competed playing tennis, and basically I my whole job during the week was to train to get better to beat this person. I kind of don't do it anymore to beat someone, but I do it because of the reason of getting better and listening to these people too, understanding how they think, how they operate. gives you a lot more like context to make decisions and to act. It's like getting more than one coach. You within the group goals, you learn a lot. It is not this type of program in which people ask like stuff that is on the modules, but that ask really important stuff, nitty gritty stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Appreciate that. So we've talked very kind of like high level, and I kind of want to like go a little bit deeper as well. So when it comes to ads specifically, because that's been a huge component of your growth as well, right? What lessons have you learned when it comes to ads that you wish you knew sooner?
Mm. The most important one that I learned from you is people focus too much on what to say and not how to say it.
Mm,
It's really key. And that's why I was having trouble with my previous ads because I was trying to recreate the same script in the sense, but I wasn't able to get that tonality thing right. And to get a tonality right, you need to trust and believe that what you're selling really helps. You need to trust and believe that you're a leader. Everything interconnects together. You need to trust and believe that you can really help these people you're trying to serve. And it comes, here comes my second point, which is people give up really easily. Now I have an ad that is getting 20x ROAS on cash and 30 on revenue because we were speaking about these numbers, but in cash. So basically, the reason why I think this actually worked for me was because first I did the work Alex teaches us on defining an ideal client. That was key.
mhm.
So the script part, the easier quote unquote part, was already set it up. But the second part is where people don't understand the amount of work it may take. For recording this 1 minute, little bit more ad, I spent a whole day trying to film it. And until I didn't feel it was right, I wasn't able to just post it. For instance, I remember that day I kind of got frustrated because the thing wasn't working, but I knew that the tonality was really important. And I'm not a great public speaker. I don't come from that background, so it's kind of tough for me sometimes to act that way. But I remember that I went to the gym that time after trying to record it for the past like 2 3 hours. And then I said kind of fuck it. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe tomorrow and stuff. And then I kind of went back. Also based on the principles you teach on your mindset modules. Like and again, the standards of the community and your standards as a coach. Like, will Jeremy be proud of me if I was going to just give up and just post stupid stuff, stupid ad? No, right? Then you do things or change things accordingly. And then I did a weird thing, which was I needed to change my mood because I couldn't be able to deliver it like in a great way because of my mood, because I was already pissed off. So it was raining outside, and I literally, like, raining a lot outside, and I literally said, is it really that hard to record an ad? Maybe you will say no after you go to Behind the Rain. And I literally went behind the rain like for 2 hours just to prove myself that I was capable of doing it. And I did it. I launched it. 20x ROAS cash, 30x on revenue. That's the story.
Crazy, man. Crazy. And what's also crazy too is that from last month or from this past month where you did 52K cash, the month before where you did 23K cash, you actually spent almost 5 times less money on ads. You went from spending almost 10K on ads to spending 2K and making 50. And it's crazy how much an impact such a small little thing can make, but it's so important that you nail it right. So that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing like kind of what you did as well, like tactically to like do that and kind of your thought process, because a lot of people, what I see a lot of people is they do, like they go to record something, they kind of do it like half-assed and like it's just kind of like good enough almost. And then it's just like it doesn't really perform as well as it could. Whereas like when you really just hit it and you really nail it, then that's when you get those crazy returns as well. And yeah, it's not so much about exactly what you say, it's more so about how you say it and then everything else as well. So that's awesome, man. And I'm curious to know just in general too, like what kind of systems have you implemented into your business that have helped you scale and lead a lot better as well?
The first one, which was the starting point when we started working together, was implementing the camcorder method from Dan. And like that thing combined with something you tend to say a lot, which is simple scales, fancy fails,
Hmm.
make things work so much faster. And those couple little tricks, tactics really help, because you want, as a business owner, or at least in my perspective, to make things dynamic. I worked at a multinational company, which was pretty different stuff from this, and I understood then the importance of being dynamic. And to be dynamic, you need to know what specifically to focus on, and then following through with consistency, and letting people around you motivate you. Like,
Hmm.
it's just like, for someone that is watching this, if you just want to get more results than others, or just more results in general, you just need to stack every competitive advantage you may have. And research shows the huge importance on a curated environment. This program gives you exactly that. And also, like, it's really counterintuitive, because some coaches make this mistake of allowing everyone that show up on sales calls to the program. And you do exactly the opposite. And that's why I also think almost everyone within the program, to not say everyone, gets the results people get. Like, it's amazing to see people growing on, and also happy because of you, because of your growing,
Hmm.
of your growth. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. The environment is such a powerful aspect, both the human side, the people that you surround yourself with, but then also, like you said, everything else as well. And I love what you said there too about stacking all of the advantages in your favor, no matter how big or small, right? So like we talked earlier about sleep, and like nutrition is a big part of it too. Exercise, rest, like recovery, and Eduardo's amazing with that too. And then also just like what you said with Alex, how like what he taught was identifying like the dream client avatar and like those 8 or 9 check boxes on what clearly defines that, and just following through that process, then that makes copywriting extremely easy too. And then you're stacking that in your favor. And then same with like nailing the tonality in your ads. There's another little thing. So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about too, about like it's the combination of a lot of different things all coming together properly rather than just like one thing that just unlocks everything. So that's really cool, man. And last question before we kind of wrap up, because I think we both have to go. We got another meeting coming up here as well. What kind of like what problems were you facing at the start that you have solved over the last 5, 6 months, and how did you solve those? Like, what would you tell like young Juan? What kind of advice would you give him that you wish you knew earlier?
Manage yourself better. Understand that every material change comes from an internal change first, and also get better at leading the team and surround yourself better. I think those things will be really powerful. And also I think um around that client avatar exercise with Alex, I wish I knew that thing before. Like every single word Alex says and you say and Eduardo say are pure gold, and that's why I just hear, execute, and that's it. I just do it,
Hmm.
and that really helps. That's the only thing I do. I'm not special. I'm not. I just listen to something, do it, and that's it.
Powerful, powerful. And for those that are curious about that exercise, there's like a 90-minute podcast that I did with Alex and Eduardo when we were in Vegas a couple months ago. It's on the channel. You can go search that. This is a very plain thumbnail with those 3 dudes sitting beside each other. So that'll walk you through that very clearly. But one, man, I just want to say again from like the bottom of my heart, congratulations. Like you did it, man. 52K in a month cash with a 20x ROAS. That's insane. Most people would like kill somebody to get results like that. And you went from 10K to 50K over the last 6 months, and it hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of growth required internally first, and then that reflects onto everything else. But whenever something comes up, you face it head on, and you do what's required, not what you feel like. And I think that's a huge differentiator for you and a lot of other people as well. And that just kind of speaks a lot into who you are as an entrepreneur. And it's really cool to have been a part of your journey so far as well. And I'm really excited to see kind of what's next for you as well, and what the rest of the year brings, because we're only halfway through, not quite. So there's a lot of damage to be done still, and I'm really excited. So just want to say thank you for coming on here, Juan. It's been a pleasure working with you, and then this conversation has been incredible too. And thanks for taking the time to hop on with me. And yeah, appreciate you, man. Great work.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy. Really, I wanted to thank you again for everything you've done for my business, for my people. Like it's just that as entrepreneurs we tend to think a lot just about ourselves, but not about the people we're serving, clients plus team members, and the impact you've allowed me to make within my industry is huge, and I think is is really really valuable, and I'm so happy to be able to work with you, and making or having made the decision of hiring you one of the best decisions I've ever made, you know. And so basically, it, if you have been watching until this point, um really, like, transparently, like, honestly, I know that all those client wins seem fake because there are a lot being posted on the stories every single week. They are all true, and really the experience inside is as amazing or more as you see. I know we are on a trust recession, but just trust this guy and follow through. That's it.
I appreciate that, man. And that was not scripted, and I did not expect
Yeah.
that, but I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, thanks for saying that, Juan. So that said, make my job easy with the call to action. If you do want to join a community of killers, get our help hands-on to help you scale, then book a call down below. Links in the description. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks, Juan. Appreciate you, bro. Keep crushing it.